Okay, I'm going to read a short passage from Machiavelli's The Prince. He's known, of course, for his cutthroat tactics, literally known as Machiavellian, but he's quite a bit more complex than that as well. His other famous book, Discourses on Levy, is really a primer for the values of republicanism. Checks and balances really influenced a lot of the founding fathers. This one was written to the Prince, one of the Medici family members, but a lot of historians have also noted how it's got quite a bit of irony, and it's really just a study in raw power. And for those of us not interested in being subjects to a prince or any other ruler, it also will give us some lessons to avoid being ruled and to restore some liberty, because nothing is worse, of course, than thinking you're free but not being free. So this is just a short excerpt from that chapter 5, How to Govern Cities and Principalities, that prior to being occupied lived under their own laws. When a state accustomed to live in freedom under its own laws is acquired, there are 3 ways of keeping it. The first is to destroy it. The second is to go to live there in person. The third is to let it continue to live under its own laws, taking tribute from it, and setting up a government composed of a few men who will keep it friendly to you. Such a government, being the creature of the prince, will be aware that it cannot survive without his friendship and support, and it will do everything to maintain his authority. A city which is used to freedom is more easily controlled by means of its own citizens than by any other, provided one chooses not to destroy it. Take, for example, the Spartans and the Romans. The Spartans held Athens and Thebes by setting up a government of a few men in each. Nevertheless, they lost both. In order to hold on to Capua, Carthage, and Numantia, the Romans destroyed them. Yet they did not lose them. They hoped to hold Greece in the same way as the Spartans had done, leaving her free under her own laws, yet they were not successful. And so they were compelled to destroy many cities of that province in order to keep possession of it. For in truth, there is no sure method of holding such cities except by destruction. Anyone who becomes master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it may expect to be destroyed by it. For such a city may always justify rebellion in the name of liberty and its ancient institutions. These are not forgotten either through passage of time or through benefits received. Despite any actions or provisions one may take, if the inhabitants are not divided and dispersed, they will not forget the name and those institutions, and they will quickly have recourse to them at every chance, as Pisa did 100 years after servitude under the Florentines. But when cities or provinces have been accustomed to live under a prince and his line becomes extinct, being on the one hand used to obeying and on the other deprived of their leader, they cannot agree amongst themselves in the selection of a new one, and do not know how to live in freedom. Hence they are slower to take up arms, and a prince may more easily win them and hold them. But in republics there is a greater vigor, greater hatred, greater desire for revenge, and the memory of earlier freedom cannot and will not let them rest. Thus the surest procedure is either to destroy them or to live in them. While there's a lot of points to analyze in this Machiavelli passage, one of the main takeaway points is that rulers clearly see the liberties of their population as standing in the way of their aims for control. As we look to the threats to American liberties today, we should ask, who is it that's trying to gain control, and why do they want to destroy our liberties? I think this Machiavelli passage makes clear why any ruler would be interested in undermining the liberties of its people, so they can divide and conquer them. Signing off for TrueStreamMedia.com, I'm Aaron Dykes.